Classic cars attract many wonderful things: admiration, nostalgia, and unsolicited advice from strangers at petrol stations. They also attract myths, persistent, confident myths, the kind delivered by someone who hasn't owned a classic car since 1987, but feels very strongly about it. So, let's gently put a few of these to rest. First myth: classic cars are incredibly unreliable. This one usually comes from someone driving a modern car with 3 warning lights on and a software update pending. The truth is, most classic cars are very honest. A classic Mini, a Triumph, or an old Mercedes will tell you exactly what's wrong, often audibly, sometimes aromatically. Modern cars, by contrast, prefer vague threats and cryptic symbols. Reliability isn't about age, it's about maintenance, sympathy, and occasionally accepting that Italian electrics have personality. Second myth: you have to be rich to own one. Yes, if your idea of a classic car starts with air-cooled Porsche and ends with auction estimate, that might be true, but plenty of classics are wonderfully attainable. An old MG, a Rover, even a slightly scruffy BMW from the 90s can be cheaper to run than a modern finance agreement. The real cost isn't money, it's time, patience, and the willingness to Google things like, why does it only do this when it rains? Third myth: classic cars are terrible to drive. This is usually said by someone who expects a 1970s Alfa Romeo to feel like a new Golf GTI. Classic cars don't isolate you, they involve you. You feel the steering, the road, the decisions you've made in life that led you to this moment. And once you recalibrate, many classics are an absolute joy. There's a reason people still talk about how a Porsche 911 feels, or how delicately a well-sorted MG flows down a country road. Next myth: they're just toys for old men. Yes, there are flat caps, but there are also young owners, artists, engineers, and people who simply like things with character. Classic cars aren't about age, they're about taste, and possibly stubbornness. Anyone who keeps a Lancia running in the modern world is not clinging to the past. They're committing an act of quiet rebellion. Another favourite: classic cars are bad for the environment. This one's more nuanced. Yes, they're not exactly carbon neutral, but most classics do a few thousand miles a year at most. They're repaired, reused, and kept alive rather than scrapped and replaced every 3 years. Sustainability isn't just about what you drive, it's about how often you replace it. A well-loved old Volvo, still going strong, has arguably done its bit. And finally, the biggest myth of all: classic car ownership is stressful. It can be frustrating, yes, but stressful. Only if you fight it. Once you accept that a classic car operates on its own schedule, something shifts. You stop rushing, you listen more, you plan better. In a strange way, these old machines teach you to slow down, and that might be their greatest gift. So maybe classic cars aren't impractical relics after all. Maybe they're reminders that not everything needs to be fast, perfect, or efficient to be worth keeping around.